We got the new tires, but the Brooklyn guy sold us a car that used to belong to a criminal. It's true. That was August 2001. A few weeks later, I was sitting I was working at Morgan Stanley, sitting on a trading floor. And at 8:30 in the morning, a plane flew into the World Trade Center. And my friend sitting next to me, my boss at the time, Ted Doster, turned to me and said, "Jer, you man the phones. I'm going home." And he wasn't a very go down with the ship kind of guy. 30 minutes later, I left as well. I didn't know where to go. I couldn't go downtown because downtown was closed because of the chaos. And instead, I walked across town to 48th Street and 3rd Avenue to the Gray Worldwide building because Lisa Choueke was working her first job in the production department of Gray Worldwide. We talked. I couldn't really go home to 2nd Street, so I went uptown to her apartment. I stayed there for a few days, and those were the days that we fell in love. That's our story. It's not surviving the Holocaust. It's not growing up poor. We're just two normal kids. 2 years later, we got married in Los Angeles in 2003. 2 years later, with the help of some of my friends that are here today, that I work with, that showed faith in me, I fulfilled my dream of moving to Israel. Lisa rolled with. It wasn't her dream. She loved Israel, but the truth is, it wasn't her dream. I found a girl who cared more about my happiness than her own. In 2006, Lisa got cancer. It was melanoma. She was scared. I was not. She had surgery and removed lymph nodes from her right arm. She beat it. She survived. A few years later, we had a boy. With her permission, I selfishly named him Jake after my father, and she selflessly accepted that and supported that. I found a girl who cared more about my happiness than her own. In January 2012, she was diagnosed again with cancer. This time it was more scary. During those months, I had these images. I knew that she would beat it, and I was going to make a sign for her, or I was going to send an email around. And it was going to say, Lisa 2, cancer 0. I really wanted to send that email. And it didn't happen that way. She was so sick in January, and then she got better in February, and on and off and up and down. On May 29th, 2 weeks ago, Lisa was rushed to the emergency room at St. John's Hospital here. For 11 days, she fought like a warrior. On 2 days into the stay, on Thursday night, the doctor told us that Lisa would not survive the weekend. The next morning, Lisa tried to eat through a straw. It was just me and her, and she prayed. I was there. She said, "Dear God, please let this food make me stronger so that I can see my baby." And God answered. She got stronger. Her oxygen machine gave way to a simple oxygen mask, and the mask gave way to simple oxygen nose prongs. She roared back, and I was so proud to be her husband. The doctors were startled. They discharged us, and Lisa saw her boy, and her prayer was answered. Things got worse. This past Monday, On June 11th, we went back to the ICU. Her body had no room to breathe. There was no room in her lungs. On Tuesday morning, just a few days ago, the doctors drained around 500 milliliters of blood and fluid from her right lung, and she improved a little bit. Her oxygen rate went up. I showed her the bucket, and she looked at me with her blue eyes, and she gave me a thumbs up. I was so proud. Tuesday night, things got so much worse. And with my last hopes for a miracle, I had more of these images of a story that I heard when I was young. But I only started to appreciate the story when my friend Andrew retold it a few years ago. It's from the book of Kings. It's from Melachim. It's about Elisha the prophet. Elisha was going from town to town preaching. And he went to the town in northern Israel called Shunem. And there was a woman there. And the woman always gave Elisha hospitality. She made him food. She prepared a room for him. And Elisha would sleep in this room. When he was in town, he would eat, he would work in that room. And then Elisha, this prophet, this man of God, said to his servant Gehazi, "What can we do for this woman?" And Gehazi said, "She has no children, and her husband is old." Elisha called to the woman and said, "At this time next year, you shall hold a son in your arms." And the woman responded and said, "Man of God, do not deceive me." And Elisha assured her that he was serious. A year later, the woman gave birth to a boy. The boy became a child. One day, the child came home. He didn't feel good, and he suddenly died. And the woman rushed to see Elisha. And the woman said to Elisha the prophet, "Man of God, didn't I beg you not to deceive me?" She was right. It wasn't fair. Elisha rushed to the boy's bed. And the Bible writes, "Vayishkav alav," and he laid upon the boy, his mouth on the boy's mouth, his palms on the boy's palms, his eyes on the boy's eyes. And he warmed the flesh of the boy. And he did that over and over. And the boy's eyes opened, and the boy became alive. On Tuesday night, with my wife lying in a hospital bed, I wanted to lay upon her and put my mouth on her mouth and my eyes on her eyes and my palms on her palms, and I wanted to breathe life into her. I wanted to be that man of God. But no miracle was forthcoming. No man of God to save her. This is not the time to be angry, and I'm not. And it's not the time to doubt the plans that God has for all of us. I remember when my brother died in 2008, my parents were searching for a pasuk, a sentence to write on the gravestone to give them comfort. And Lisa opened the Tanakh and found a pasuk that gave them comfort. Lo yashuv elai rekam ki im asa et asher chafatzti v'tzliach asher shalachtiv. God says, what emanates from my mouth will not return to me unfulfilled unless it will have accomplished what I have desired. I have no doubt that many of Lisa's dreams went unfulfilled. I have no doubt that she will not see her boy growing up. But I also have no doubt that she did exactly what God intended her to do on this planet. Because that role, we fail at so many things, but not that role. That role that God chooses for you on this world, you cannot fail at that. Lisa and I shared a common upbringing. We shared the warmth of a Jewish community, of shuls and schools. We shared a warmth that taught us that if you did right and if you prayed, God could or God would answer. And when you're young and your grandparents die, our elders and our warm teachers explain to us about the next life, about Olam Haba. And it's so inspiring, it's so romantic that even God understands that death is such an injustice that we really live on forever in just a different form and a different time, different place. Maybe that's God's plan, maybe it's not. I had a conversation with a wise man in Israel once, and he gave me a perspective, and I want to share it with you. Perhaps God understands that each of us are so special, that life is so sacred that it can't be extinguished. Perhaps God's plan is that Lisa shall live forever. And I think that's exactly why God gave us the gift of children. In September 2008, when Lisa gave birth to our son, Lisa took one step closer to living forever. It's not that Jake looks like Lisa. Jake is Lisa. In reality, we're all little more than genes, DNA, ignited by a soul. And when you pass on those genes, that is the you that lives forever. That is the Olam Haba. So I can embrace Lisa every day for the rest of my life, and so can you when you embrace our boy. Lisa taught me a lot of stuff. She taught me that when you hug somebody, you should move to the right and not to the left so that your heart and your friend's heart match. Lisa taught me that it's more important to feel than to feel good, because what your closest ones really want from you is for you to be yourself and not somebody else. Lisa taught me that the angel you stick with is the one who cares more about your happiness than her own. My wife didn't seek recognition. She didn't want people to visit her. She didn't want attention. It wasn't that she was overconfident or lacked confidence. She wasn't built that way. She was built to give and not to take. Lisa, my love, I'm sorry for so many things, and now I have so much to do. I pray that God holds true to his words that he said to Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, my namesake. Al tirami panim ki itcha ani. Do not fear, because I am with you. I pray that one day in my own right, I can say Yirmiyahu's words when he said, had I not fallen, I never could have arisen. Had I not been cast in darkness, I never would have seen the light. Lisa, every time I set eyes upon our boy for the rest of my days, I'll be thinking, how on earth did I get so lucky to eternally unite with an angel like you?
I'd like to call upon Lisa's oldest brother, Ezra, to say a few words. It's been a great source of inspiration by Lisa's side the entire time.
I have a sister that lives in Israel, who is generous, who is kind, who is sensitive, who is good, who loves Hashem, who loves her family, and who loves her friends. When I lived in Asia, whenever I met a religious man who asked me what I was doing living so far away from a Jewish community, I repeated a statement similar to this one. I was saying that he should not judge my family by what he saw before him, because some of us were doing everything right. According to me, Lisa was everything a person should be. She always gave more than she had to give. When she came to the United States for cancer treatments, she insisted on taking care of Jake until she physically did not have the energy. When anyone came to help her, she instead tried to help them. When I came to cook for her, she sleep-trained my son. Lisa occasionally remarked that she was so used to doing what other people wanted, she had trouble making meals or ordering food alone. The truth is that she derived her joy and pleasure from making other people happy. So instead of being satisfied by the fulfillment of a personal craving, her satisfaction came from seeing a smile on the other side of the table. Her comedic wit and sparkling personality drew everyone to her. In recent months, when she asked when I was going to plan my next child, I returned the question. She replied quickly, "I don't know." I pushed. "Wait, you went to religious school from kindergarten. Didn't they discuss being fruitful and multiplying once or twice?" She replied playfully, "I never was an academic." One of her best qualities was the ability to mix with people of all religions, backgrounds, income, and education levels, and make a lasting, positive, constructive impression on each. Her advice was cherished, not because she was an expert on all subjects, but because she always had the person's best interest at heart, with no ulterior motive. And most impressively, her immersion in all walks of life didn't change her, a woman who knew who she was and what was important. Being Lisa's brother was like having $100 billion in the bank, but not merely an ordinary bank. A bank of wisdom, a bank of advice, a bank of love, a bank of joy, a bank of smiles, a bank of help, a bank of warmth. Every time we talked and visited, my account balance increased. We were unbelievably rich. Now we are poor. A tremendous source of merit has left us, a constant inspiration towards the performance of kindness, mitzvot, love, and responsibility. What can I take from her sudden departure? Only that I cannot live with the feeling that I could do less because my sister does more. Now we must all do more to make up for what we have lost, to assure that Jake turns into the man she and Jeremy want him to be, and to pick up where she has paused. In essence, to add some substance and energy to our candles so they outshine the one extinguished. And while it won't be the same as having her around, with all of your help, we are capable to get the job done. And one day, Bezrat Hashem, may we all be able to say, I have family in Israel who are generous, who are kind, who are sensitive, who are good, who love Hashem, who love their family, and who love their friends. The most positive aspect of the last few months was to witness the love and attention everyone paid to Lisa. I would personally like to thank all family and friends who came to visit, took time to communicate, and who made her return to health a priority in their lives. She was truly blessed, truly loved, and she continually expressed an immense appreciation of everyone's efforts. I would especially like to thank my parents and Jeremy, who continually invested and reinvested time and effort to nurture and support this amazing woman throughout her life. Lisa, we'll miss you.
A little over 20 years ago, the relationship between Lisa Choueke and Elisa Cole began. To know that relationship is to watch two closest of friends to become the closest of sisters, to know that your dedication and your friendship knew no bounds. To come in from Israel the way you did, just to go back, just to come back, it for you, of course, was nothing. And so we call upon Elisa Cole to say a few words.
This is a quote from my wedding album shower that Lisa wrote to me. I love you, Elisa Fran. You are my true love. From Brandeis Bardeen, where we met, to Newport, to cruising in Mexico, to Hawaii, to Acapulco, to Penn, to Boston, to Italy, to Israel and New York. The background keeps changing, and you and me are walking hand in hand, laughing and having the time of our life. I hope the background never stops changing, with us together living incredible adventures. Maybe the next trip with the hubbies and kinders in a timeshare in Bora Bora. I love you. My beautiful best friend, we have been so unfairly robbed of all our future backgrounds. We had so many new backgrounds planned just for this coming year. On January 28th, 2012, Lisa's 33rd birthday, we had a small party for her at my house. Susan, Jeremy, Jake, and Lisa came over, and I made her a Princess Barbie cake. We set a date for Thanksgiving 2012 at my house, and Jeremy promised to make his secret ingredient stuffed turkey, which, by the way, is amazing. The truth is, Lisa told me the secret years ago because I begged her to. Last year, for Lisa's 32nd birthday, Jeremy told Lisa that he wanted to pay for Lisa and me to do something special that day. I think Jeremy probably meant for us to go to lunch or get a massage, but in our very Lisa and Elisa style, we spent literally days planning and contemplating what we should do. We finally decided that what we wanted to do was go away for the weekend to an incredible Jordanian spa oasis that we researched online for hours every night over the course of the week. We never made it on the trip because life got in the way, but we had an incredible time planning it. We were planning a 40th birthday to Europe as the six-pack. Our six-pack. All of our claims to fame, 6 amazing best friends who had and continue to have a bond so powerful that not Los Angeles, Florida, New York, or Israel can ever separate our hearts. We have shared so very much. Last week, Rachel, Donna, Corrine, and I were with Lisa in her hospital room. Jen tried so hard to make it. She was planning on coming this week. We gave Lisa a pedicure, we laughed, and we did our six-pack thing. Lisa is no longer with us, but her huge heart and energy will always remain. Above all, my most painful background that Lisa and I have been robbed of is her being my neighbor. Lisa and Jeremy had just received the okay to begin building their home on a moshav, Tel Shachar, right by my house in Israel. While I was with Lisa all last week, we talked about a happy place we go to give us strength during this surreal nightmare that we are in. I told her mine was sitting by the pool they were going to build, which, by the way, Lisa was insisting on an infinity pool with a kids section. Lisa and I would be lounging around while the kinders played. Not Bora Bora, but if you ask me, so much better. This last September, Lisa called me and asked me if I could help her move a bathtub. Yes, a bathtub. Anyone who knows the Elisa-Lisa duo knows this is not so odd of an activity for us. Lisa and Jeremy were renting on the moshav, and they were waiting for the permits, so they bought a bathtub, which would eventually be for the new house, but in the meantime, it was Jake's outdoor pool. They needed to put it back on their property, so of course, I ran to help my girl move a bathtub. We cracked up the whole time about the fact that we were moving this tub that weighed a ton and that would obviously be thrown away. But as always with us, it was the laughter. No one could make me laugh without saying a word. By just looking at someone or something, and we both knew exactly what the other one was thinking. If you left us alone in a room, we could keep each other entertained for eternity. Lisa and I could find humor in anything. Last night, before my husband Ori took me to the airport, we drove to Tel Shachar, the moshav, and went to Lisa and Jeremy's property. I was planning on taking some soil near the bathtub to bury her with today. When Ori and I got out of the car and started to walk through the field to the bathtub, The howling of the neighborhood dogs was so piercing, we were petrified. Lisa had mentioned the insane dog phenomenon in Tel Shachar, and well, we experienced it firsthand. But I was determined to get to the bathtub, and obviously Ori, knowing his wife, knew trying to stop me would be a bad idea. We continued to walk, and then the barking got so intense, we looked back to the street. There must have been 10 dogs out, and multiple ones behind gates trying to break free. The two of us ran so fast to the car. We got inside, and this was the first time I'd smiled in days. We both imagined Lisa there with us and heard her laughter in the middle of this. We decided to give up on the bathtub idea, so we drove to the blank sign, or rather, blank, as it reads in Hebrew on the property. I shoveled soil from under the sign into a bag while Ori guarded us from the watchdogs. So, Jer, if the sign is a little wobbly, you'll know why. We also picked flowers from the blooming tree on your land. I will place the soil and flowers when we bury you today. So in some symbolic way, she will have a piece of her land that she, Jeremy, and Jake plan to build their lives on. To Susan and Tony, I cannot fathom the pain you are in for having lost your brilliant, beautiful, creative, talented daughter. Take comfort in knowing that she was so loved and gave so much love to everyone here. To Jeremy, the incredible, super positive rock of this nightmare, you have been nothing but strong and unbelievably supportive. You ran this ship so amazingly, even Lisa's doctors wanted to hire you. I'm so terribly sorry you have lost your truly gorgeous and incredible wife. To Jake, to sweet, brilliant, amazing reading, piano playing, multi-language, full of life little boy. I am so sorry that you will not get to know your wonderful mother. She loved you so, you meant the world to her. And now to my Lisa. They say that friendship is a single soul dwelling in two bodies. Lisa and I truly embodied this notion. If you saw us in action, we were unstoppable. I know it's a cliche, but she completed me. I will remember you when I see a bus and think of us on number 490 in Rome, the bus we took each day for 5 months. I will remember you on airplanes and all the trips we took and the times we got kicked out of first class by pretending it was our seat. I will remember you in the market when you pushed me in a cart and everyone thought we were insane. I will remember you in the car every time one of our millions of songs come on and we call each other. I will remember you in LA because this is the city where we grew as one. I will remember you in Israel because that is our home. I will remember your beautiful wavy hair, your ocean blue eyes, and your unbelievable creativity. From your t-shirt business that you hand-painted and had patches made for babies' clothes, to your mini movies that you filmed and made for so many of us here, to your ability to take a random piece of cloth and turn it into a funky new belt or shirt. And we will all remember the way you listened. Lisa was one of those people who you fell in love with the first time you met her. Everyone here can attest to that. She drew you in and made you feel so special when she spoke to you. This was the true magic of Lisa, and why I think she touched us all so very deeply. How do I put in words 20 years of the most beautiful friendship? There are those who pass like ships in the night, who meet for a moment, then sail out of sight, with never a backward glance of regret. Folks we know briefly, then quickly forget.